Welcome to this edition Between Two FARS. Today, I have got the opportunity to spend a little bit more time with Ed Fein, who since 1986 has been intellectual property counsel here at NASA Johnson Space Center. Ed has been a NASA employee for over 52 years and has a lot of information that can help us. I know sometimes as a contracting officer, you'll get some questions from your contractors asking if they can use the NASA meatball or the worm on their uniforms or on their websites. And that's not really FAR-based questions, but as the contract attorney or as the contracting officer, you're often the one who has to initially field these questions. So I've asked Ed to come here today and talk to us a little bit about what these are and what the parameters are for their use. Good morning, Ed. How are you today?
Good morning, virtually.
Good morning, virtually. Well, we've got some slides here. Why don't I see about bringing up some of the slides so we can look at the pictures that showcase the different things that we're going to be talking about today. All right. Ed, could you tell us the difference between seal, insignia, and logo type?
Sure. What we're looking at now is the NASA insignia, more commonly known around the agency and beyond as the meatball. And that's to distinguish it from other graphic identifiers that we'll talk about later. But this is the standard major graphic indicator of our agency. This is our brand, so we treat it very carefully. We don't allow others to use it in any manner that might imply an endorsement by the agency. So, you know, when other people that do business with the agency are very proud of that fact, as well they should be, they can certainly state the fact, you know, as long as it's truthful and factual, that whatever they're doing for NASA and with NASA, but we don't let them use the meatball on their materials because that does suggest some implication of endorsement or the fact that they are NASA's you know, supplier of whatever.
So as if NASA favors them, or yes, it's that difference between a factual statement and an endorsement.
Exactly.
All right, let's take a look at the next one here. Oh, this is everybody's favorite, and it's coming back in vogue, isn't it?
It is. This was actually retired, and if you look at the regs that Warnke is going to show on the slide presentation later, but the regs have stated that this has been actually retired. We started with the meatball with the NASA insignia, and then the worm, as we call it, which is the NASA logo type. And I can't remember what year. Well, here it is. Yeah, 1975. The administrator at the time thought that the meatball looked dated. In my opinion, it's pretty classic, but so they went to this. They thought it was a more modern representation of the agency, and it has been retired, but now you see it on T-shirts and whatever, and the agency has decided to allow that because it has historic perspective, and we do allow all of our indicators, except for the seal, we'll talk about that later, to be on clothing. Theoretically, people that are going to produce T-shirts and whatever are supposed to get permission from the Associate Administrator for Communications, OCOM, Office of Communications, to use these things, but I suspect they don't. But the bottom line is if they just use the meatball on a T-shirt, it is something that would be approved. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these clothing articles at Target and other stores around. And I frankly think it's fine. It's great outreach as long as it's not being misused. So when we
could we talk about
Go ahead.
Could we talk a little bit about co-branding and the difference between just having the NASA meatball on a t-shirt and having another company's logo next to the NASA logo type or our insignia on somebody's uniform or other equipment that they'd be using for work?
Yeah, that's a great point. NASA frowns upon and will send cease and desist letters out to people that put either the meatball or the worm in conjunction with their brand, because then again, it does appear to be co-branding, which we can do, but under very, very limited circumstances and only with the approval of OCOM, Office of Communications. There's a specific individual at headquarters who is kind of the keeper of the seal. His name is Bert Ulrich.
Yes, and that's
he's the guy that you have to go to for exceptions, permission to use any of our graphic indicators that are outside of the proscriptions in the federal regulation, which we'll see later.
You've got a contractor who's looking to do this and is wanting advice from you. Don't advise them. Send them on to Bert. He does this all the time and is going to help you with what you need on this. Let's look at the seal. Why is it different?
Yeah, this is it's on the NASA flag. It's very limited. The administrator has the authority to use it. It is on some awards that we get, things like that, but it's very limited. We don't allow other people to use it at all. Its uses are proscribed in the federal regulation. It's the most restricted of all of our indicators, graphic indicators.
And here we do have a couple of the useful links and citations. I know I often use that website there at the top, the media usage guidelines. That's one that Ed, I found is very practical and in common English. And so if I get questions, often that's the website that I will first direct people to. But can you talk to us a little bit about some of these other, the graphic standards and how are they useful to people that are trying to wrestle with a question about, hey, can my contractor do this?
Yeah, basically, you know, if you are a contractor, like we stated before, or you have a Space Act agreement with NASA, or some sort of other agreement with NASA, you are certainly free to state in all of your materials factually what that relationship is. There's laws against misstating a relationship to NASA. You'll see ads sometimes for articles that were developed by NASA, which are not true, and the agency, to the extent it can, will send you a cease and desist order. Unfortunately, we don't have a graphic indicator police force, but if it's brought to our attention that somebody's misusing one of our graphic indicators, we will certainly send out a cease and desist order. We can get the IG involved if it's particularly egregious, but typically people just don't know, and as soon as they find out that they're doing something inappropriate, they'll stop it.
Well, good. All right. Well, let me just say thank you, Ed, for your time today. This has been very, very helpful, and I think has given us just a starting point when these questions come in. And that's really what we needed, because like we said at the beginning, this isn't FAR work, this isn't procurement work, but it is something that we often run into in the procurement world. I appreciate your time today, Ed, and join us again next time between
and make
FARs.
sure that people know they can always call the office for specific, issues that come up. We're here to help.
Yes, always remember you've got your local IP counsel that are available to you for any of these questions, as well as the OCOM office at headquarters. Have a great day and see you next time.
Bye-bye.